Greetings, 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 everyone. You know who this is. This is your SoJazzie homegirl back again on Talk About It Tuesdays. Guess what day it is, y'all? Tuesday. Somebody needs to clap some hands that I'm doing a show on Talk About It Tuesday with my special guest, Miss Eboni Merriwether is in the
Hello, hello,
building.
hello, hello, everybody.
I am so grateful that we finally made this circle around the sun and the moon and all of the other stars and planets because it's been a long time coming that we've been planning this show. But we felt like 2025 is the year that people need to know the truth.
Ooh, yeah,
So, y'all know what I'm going to
yes.
do right here before I jump right in because y'all know. Sister will get started. I will get started. So you know what to do. Go ahead and grab your favorite choice of drink, honey. We over here with a whole mug. Wait a minute. First of all, I need y'all to pay attention to those of y'all that are watching.
Oh, girls.
Come on with Be Beautiful.
I
Hello.
love
Let me
it.
just tell y'all, I'm a whole black
So
beekeeper.
cute.
I'm a whole black beekeeper, so I'm doing bee things. I'm just telling you. But
Oh,
anyway, I got my
okay.
coffee because y'all know I need some today in this rainy day of Georgia. And I just heard a little birdie tell me that, Miss Ebony, what you drinking? What you drinking over there, girl?
I am with my Chanel cup. I
Sh-
don't know if y'all
Come
can
on,
see my little
Chanel. Come
Chanel
on, Chanel.
cup. And I have some
Mm-hmm.
spiked coffee because I just needed a little bit of a pick me up to get real with y'all today. So I have a little yeah, for sure. You got to be
Uh-huh.
real at all times. I'm
Listen.
very transparent about what I got in this cup too.
And y'all know how we do. We tell you to get your favorite choice of drink, whether that's your good spirits, whether that's your wine, whether that's your juice, or whether that's your water. Honey, go on and kick your feet up. Sit back, take a seat, relax just for a few little minutes while we share this good
Right,
news and while we get our jiggy
indeed.
on, because y'all know I'm gonna have a whole lot of music going on. But since production is not here, I might have to sing a whole little song for you, and that might hurt your feelings. So we just gonna jump right in. Now, today,
Indeed.
we again, for those of you who may have just joined in, because some of you won't be watching this, but you will be listening as I love to drive and listen to my podcast because I get my little inspiration and I get my education a lot of times while I'm on the road because I'm a whole. So, listen, for y'all that don't know, let me show y'all something. I had to take this hat off because I was having a hot flash, but I'm going to just show it. Y'all see where it says home
Oh, I
girl?
like that.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah,
So I,
that's
I need
super
I
cute.
need
The
y'all to
distress,
come on.
loving it.
Right. I need people to understand that when I say I'm a home girl, it's a double-edged sword. I'm your home
Yeah,
girl that you come to. We have a cup of coffee. We talk about all the things and I catch you up and I give you referrals and stuff because your home girl is who you trust. But I'm
that's
also
right.
the home girl that sells homes and that has conversations about homes. And that brings us right here to proven mortgage solutions.
That's right.
And what
Yes,
Miss
indeed.
Ebony does is she helps you get in this house. She helps you get the properties that you want to get. So we wanted to have this show, and I'm getting ready to move all the way over. But I just wanted to set you up to let you know that there's so much misinformation about home buying. You have people who are coming in with the questions, or they'll come in and say, I want to buy a house. I want to buy
Mm-hmm.
property. I want to buy a business, or whatever it is that they want to purchase, but they have no clue where to start, or they have information from the 90s. And for those of y'all that remember the 90s, it was the good old days, but it was some days that some of the information wasn't quite up to par.
Right,
I'm just
right.
saying.
For
So
sure.
I want to move out of the way and give my sister, this is my sister, y'all. Let me just let y'all know she is my sister from another mister. And we go so far back. She was a little girl almost to me. Anyway, she was a young lady
Yeah, I was a little
when I
youngin'.
first met her. She was a little youngin'. I mean, now she's a seasoned youngin', but she's a pro in the business. And I
Yeah,
want to let
indeed.
you just tell people, how did you get started, what your company is about, how you have established so many things, and really, Ebony, in such a short time. I mean, you've been in the business for over 20 years, but this part of the business, your own business, has been a short time. So Tell the people I'm about to move on over here and drink my coffee now.
So, hello everyone. My name is Eboni Merriwether. I am the CEO and founder of Proven Mortgage Solutions. We actually do business as Proven Mortgage Solutions. Legal name is Proven Management Solutions Inc. We have been in business now for, this is going into our 8th year. And I have been in the mortgage industry for about 30 years. I started in the mid-90s. I started in banking, as a bank teller. And then I quickly kind of moved into the loan department in that space of mortgages for commercial lending. I started out with actually a church. They were a church lender, I should say. What was it? Lutheran Missouri Synod, the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. And so they were responsible for making loans to pastors and teachers and people that were,
Wow.
and the Lutherans that were of that, congregation, that church.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I got my start. I took the test way back when, where you just had to, working for a lender, you had to be licensed as an individual. So I got my licensing back then, but of course things changed and all that from 30 years ago almost. And so I've worked in banking as an underwriter, in the mortgage industry as an underwriter, was underwriting for Fannie, Freddie Mac. Those are two of the major investors. They call them GSEs. I've worked for Chase, Wells Fargo, underwriting loans for them, and also doing like quality control. When we had the market crash, I flipped to the
Yes.
back end of things where I was actually doing quality control of the loans that had essentially defaulted or gone bad, the bad paper loans
Yes.
that they were selling from lender to lender
Come
when the
on.
crash happened.
From
Yeah, so I
countrywide to,
ended up,
but
right.
okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
when everybody kind of bellied up on them, and then I start working directly for those GSEs, and just seeing if the lenders that sold the loans actually followed the guidelines for them to be sellable loans. Recognizing patterns was my job, to see if there was fraud, if there was
Right.
misrepresentation in any way.
Girl, that's a whole show, right?
Noting,
That's
yeah,
that
noting those patterns.
is a whole show
Yeah, for
within itself.
sure it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were really responsible for assisting the investors in litigation. So we create reports on things that we saw that were patterns from these lenders. And then essentially what happened, of course, some of them may not be in business, but the bigger ones like the JP Morgan Chase,
Right.
like the Wells Fargo,
Yeah.
like the Bank of America, those guys, of course, we know got bailed out, and they were basically cutting checks to stop the bleeding. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we know we did it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Enough
Mm-hmm.
already. So stop sending us repurchase
Right.
letters. Let's
Can I just have
settle
my
this.
have some money? Have
Yeah.
some money.
Exactly. So that's what I was responsible for the longest. I, was doing contract underwriting after the market crashed. And then I decided, you know what, if I can do this for the banks and these GSEs, I should be able to really help our community
Yes.
specifically
Yes.
with, the approvals. And if you are not approved, the why you're not approved.
Right.
Like,
And
I
what
need
you
to
need
be
to
on
do.
the other side, right? I
Yes.
wanted to be on the other side and really kind of dig into the being an advocate, being the liaison between the client and the banks.
Right.
Kind of taking it back to the old school way of doing things, because that's how it used to be back in the day. You could walk into your
Mm-hmm.
local bank and talk to your loan officer or whoever was
Right.
handling your file, and they were making common sense underwriting decisions, or
Yes.
so strict to the guidelines. It's like, did you develop a relationship with that bank?
Right.
And they were approving based on your relationship with them, right? How many
Mm-hmm.
accounts did you have and all this stuff. So what I do now is, I'm basically kind of like your personal banker. I'm your advocate in terms of connecting you with the right product, the right bank, the right
Yes.
service.
Yes.
That's what my company does.
I
So
love
I've,
it.
like I said, I've been in this now on my own as a broker, a mortgage broker, for 8 years. I am also a mortgage loan originator. So that's essentially a loan officer. And I have a team that assists me with getting it done. So my clients kind of named me and deemed me the Olivia Pope of mortgages, because there isn't, any problem that I cannot,
Yeah.
or help you to resolve. I'm not a issue based company. I'm a solution based company, hence the name Proven Mortgage Solutions, right?
Folks,
So
did y'all hear? Wait a minute. See,
yeah.
what we're not going to do is rush past that because it's important.
Yeah.
Because what
Yeah.
people tend to do, and this is so funny that you're saying this, because I had a
Mhm.
conversation that had nothing to do with mortgage or anything, but just this morning I said, I'm tired of the issue without
Right.
solution.
Yeah.
And
It
people
just doesn't make
when you're buying a house, when you are a self-employed and you need to have certain documents that you really are clueless that you need to have to buy a house, because all you're thinking is, honey, I make this money, I can buy a house. But you
right.
have to have this setup, that
Right.
setup, this document, which we're going to talk about. But I'm just saying, it's important to know when you're dealing with any part of this process, especially in the initial, hey, am I pre-qualified? Am I qualified? Am I able
Right.
to buy a house? What does that look like? What do I need to do? When you're going through those steps, again, we're getting ready to go over that. But when you're going through those steps, you don't need a person who's supposed to be in position to help you not help you.
Right.
I mean,
That's right.
why am I coming to your business if you don't
Right.
have the answer? And that does not mean you, Ebony, have all of the answers, but you should
Right.
have a relationship within your industry where if you don't know the answer, you know what? I'm going to take you
For
on
sure.
as a client and I'm going to get you that answer because
For,
I want you to have whatever it is that you're trying to buy. So that
for
I
sure.
wanted to point that out because sometimes you don't have people who care about the relationship building in order for
Mm-hmm.
them to help you get to the answer. They're just like, yeah, no,
Right.
I can't, you ain't got this, I can't help you. They don't
Right.
point you into the direction you need to go.
And that kind of aids in the dropping of credit scores, the drop in your desire to even want to continue with the process, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's on the technical side. It can be a drop in scores when you are jumping from lender to lender to lender. Pulling scores because this one told you no, but they didn't tell you why it's a no. They just
Right,
told you no. So go somewhere else thinking you're gonna get a different answer.
right.
Let me just set
Exactly.
the record straight. You're probably not going to get a different answer because there is something that's going on within, maybe it's the credit profile, the overall credit profile from the payment history or whatever it is that they're looking at. It could be any number of little things that
Mm-hmm.
you just need to correct and then move forward, but they don't tell you that because a lot of the bigger banks, which is the difference between banks and mortgage brokers such as myself, a lot of the different banks, I mean, you're a number, right?
Right.
So you're in this big, pool of loans and applications that they're getting in every single day. And they don't have time to sit and try to dissect what your problem is or what
Mhm,
the problem is with getting you a yes, right?
mhm, mhm.
But that's what makes mortgage brokers like Proven Mortgage Solutions special is that we actually take the time out to talk with you, to really dive into your specific situation, to figure out, it's like, sometimes I feel like I'm your mortgage attorney or the mortgage detective,
Mhm,
really
mhm,
truly the Olivia Pope of mortgages. And we're getting down to what's making this problem like a problem, you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Without like alarming you so much, we're going to kind of ask the questions and ask you by looking at your file. We can kind of, and being in the business for as long as I've been in the
Right.
business
You're able
helps,
to look at,
but
I know
look,
what this is.
yeah, I'm kind of
Mhm.
looking, eyeballing it and saying, okay, I know what the issue is, whether it's a low credit score. And sometimes even when you raise the credit score, it's still something that's triggering, the automated underwriting system to give you that no, because it's in your something's in your profile or the pay history, or,
Right.
you don't have compensating factors or whatever it is. But because I'm underwriting your file before we send it to the bank, I'm able to figure out what's going to get us from the no to the yes.
Yeah.
So that's
You know
kind of
what? We
what we
almost
do.
could end right there. We could almost
Yeah.
end right there. Y'all
Right. Yeah.
Call Ebony Mayweather at Proven Mortgage Solutions.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Okay, so let's break it down because the title of the show is The Real Truth, right? Because most
Hmm.
people are not giving you the real truth which we just solidified. They're giving you portions, they're giving you pieces.
Hmm.
And just let me step back for a minute because I am an agent, I'm a realtor, and I want people to know that when you start off with me, because I want you to start off with me. Um,
Hmm.
and I have a team of people in every state. So depending where you are, I can work with a team of people who can help you get what you need to have, right? But when you start with me and you say, "Hey, Jazzie, I want you to represent me. I want you and your team to represent me." We do not do the mortgage. So we're not licensed to do that.
Right.
All we are licensed to do is sell you your home. Okay?
Right.
Sell you your commercial property, whatever it is that you're looking for. See how I tell people that we having a whole podcast and they still be calling. And I shut it down and I don't know, our phone is doing something, but not,
Yeah.
um so when you say, "Hey, I want you to represent me, I'm gonna get you to sign a buyer's agreement because I want to, we're
Mhm.
married to each other." Now we can get a divorce if you don't want to work with me, or I don't need to work with you because sometimes that happens. But nonetheless, we're all in agreement. We get our buyer's agreement. We know what we want to do. Then we go through the pre-qualification. We don't go look at a house. I'm gonna say it one more time. We sign our buyer's agreement because we're gonna buy a house with each other. I'm gonna help you
Mhm.
find that. You're gonna be so happy. I'm gonna tell you some of the things that you're looking for. We're gonna do all of that. And I'm an interior designer, so we can talk about how you want to design all that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do that. But then we're gonna get you pre-approved. We're not gonna do Zillow list, Redfin. That we're not gonna. Girl, I saw. We're not doing any of that because we
Right. Right.
don't know what you're qualified for. So
Right.
we're not
Yeah.
going to look at $1 million houses and then Ebony pull you up, and then all of a sudden
It,
girl, you can only
yeah.
afford
You down you in
150,000.
the 200. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's. I mean, you save yourself a lot of time and the realtors a lot of time and anguish by looking within your scope, right?
Mhm,
I
mhm.
don't want to say box because you don't necessarily have to be in the box if you do things the right way coming out the gate,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So the first thing that you need to do is get a pre-approval. And people confuse pre-approvals with pre-qualifications
I
all the time.
was just getting ready to say,
So I
please
say
tell us.
the first, yeah. So
Mhm.
one of the first steps is a pre-approval. Now, this is just, there's technical definitions of, pre-approval and pre-qualification, but I'm just going to summarize what this means. So the pre-qualification is essentially just what you've told me that
Mhm.
you make, where you are employed, what your credit score is, what your assets are. You've given me maybe an application, or maybe we've just discussed some information over the phone, but I don't have anything to support what you're telling me, right? I'm not looking at
Right.
anything. I'm just having a
Right.
conversation with you, or I'm looking at an application. Maybe you went online, did an inquiry, and you just gave up some information from those categories that I just named.
Mhm.
Whereas the pre approval is different because now you put the documentation with it to support what it is that you're disclosing to your loan officer,
So
right?
now we
So
have
you're
your
going to give
information.
me, right. So you're going to give me, I have a pre-approval checklist of documents that I require in order to even start looking at you for pre-approval. So it's your photo ID, right? Valid photo ID because
Mhm.
the lender's going to ask for that. It's your income document. So if you're a wage earner, it's W-2s last 2 years and your pay stubs most recent 30 days. Your assets is 2 months bank statements and then the credit report. So those are the things that I need in order to even look at you to say, okay, now I have enough information where I can, one, review that information and underwrite it, and also put it in the automated underwriting system, which is where I get my pre-approvals from. Some loan officers don't go through and don't go as deep as I do because they're not underwriters. They just gather the information basically and then send it in. But I'm an underwriter, so I need to make sure
Right.
that you have what it takes and what is going to be required by the lender according to the
Yes.
guidelines
Yes.
of whatever program I'm gonna qualify you under.
Yes.
So I don't like
Now, what
surprises
is an
off the bat.
underwriter for people? Okay, because what I want to make sure that we do on this show is we are debunking myths and
Right.
misunderstandings. Okay,
Okay.
because
Gotcha.
people sometimes we say things because we're in the industry, but we don't really know what it is. Like, oh yeah, I got to
Mhm.
send this to the underwriter. Girl, what
Right.
is an underwriter? So we just explained pre-approval and pre-qualification. Two different
Hmm.
things when people are saying, "Oh, did you get pre-qualified?" Yeah, no, you didn't. You got pre-approved. I skimmed
Right.
over. I looked and
Right.
said, oh, okay, well, based upon this person telling me this is
Right.
sort of kind of what I feel like you might be able to do, but now I need to qualify you. I,
Hmm.
I need to get you pre-qualified to even send your information to someone who's going to say, I'm going to give you some money. So
Right.
now we want to know, what is an underwriter?
So, your underwriter is the person that's going to look at the investor's guidelines, whatever they've set forth as to what the program requirements are in order to make that loan a sellable loan to them, a loan that they will buy from whichever bank you're going through. So, the underwriter is responsible basically for the overall credit analysis of that file, like your overall credit profile. So, from your payment history to your income, that your gross monthly income, to your assets, your credit scores, verification of rents, verification of employment, all of the verifications, and of those categories that I'm talking about. And they are responsible for analyzing it to see basically what type of risk it's going to
Right.
be for the lender to make the loan to you. So they're analyzing risk.
So the
Um
underwriter is the
mhm.
what am I? The time protectors. We're not going to waste time. We're not
Right.
going to waste the time
Right.
to send this to somebody who's then going to call me and say, "Did you even look at this file?" Because
Right.
they're n- I don't have their credit is 3.
Yeah.
And they want $1 million house. 3. Okay,
Yeah,
what are we
yeah.
doing here?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
step 1, you got me, right? We got our buyer's
Right.
agreement. Boom.
Yeah.
Step
Yeah.
2, we're gonna let Ebony look over your paperwork, just kind of talk to you real quick. Hey, okay, you did an online inquiry and you want to start the process of buying a house. Great. Need to get you
Right.
pre-qualified. She named all the
Yeah.
list of things. If you don't have an idea,
Pre-approved. We
baby,
doing pre-approvals. We don't do pre-quals over it. Well, like I'll tell you something, but I'm not gonna issue you a pre-approval letter, which is your buying power.
right.
This is what you use for the buying power, right? You are able to give that pre-approval letter that I'm going to generate for you.
Hmm.
You're able to give that to your realtor, who then will take that and now begin negotiating, and putting in offers, I should say, and negotiating a purchase agreement for you to purchase the
That's
home.
it because
So
they
I
asked
can't
for
do
it.
that based on a pre-qual. I have to do it. My company, this is me. Now other companies do it differently. Some other companies do it different,
Hmm.
but I do it based off of your documentation. I'm not going to do it off of what you're telling me,
Hmm.
because then that wastes everybody's time, and we don't
Right.
waste time around here.
Right.
Like, we can close deals, in the amount of time that it takes for your TRID, which is Federal Truth in Lending, to expire. So they have to give you so many days in order to originate a loan. So I don't want to get too technical, but that just means from the
No,
time we start your
we need
application to the time we close.
technicality. We do need to be
Yeah. So from the
let me tell
time.
you why. Just break down
uh
the definition of the technicalities, because Ebony, what I'm finding is that and even me, certain things I'll
mhm.
be like, wait a minute, what is that? you know.
So
uh, so no, say it, but then tell us what
yeah.
it is, so that when people hear these things, nobody is getting over on someone,
Hmm.
because so many people have
Right.
been like, I didn't even understand. You have a lot of seniors that are
Hmm.
downsizing. Some of them, their husband or their wives took care of it. Now they're gone. So here is new information that they never even heard from the first time that they bought a house. Now they're in that
Hmm.
second season, in their 70s, in their 80s, buying homes. So technical terms are needed. It's the definition behind them that's needed. So, girl, talk your talk, but just break it down.
Right.
Carry on.
Right. So basically, we are able to close loans in by that eighth day. So from the time you start your application, we can close your loan. So for instance, if we were to start an application today on the 11th, there are some federal documents, federal and state documents called the initial disclosures that I would need to issue. That's once we receive a purchase contract. You
Mm-hmm.
go
Mm-hmm.
binding on your purchase contract, meaning the seller and you have come to an agreement. You, as the buyer, have come to an agreement. The contract has been negotiated, and now you are bound by the terms of that contract to carry out the sale, and the
And the
purchase of
purchase.
the
Mm-hmm.
house. So, from
Mm-hmm.
that point, when we get the loan application, we have 3 days to issue you your initial loan disclosures. A part of the loan disclosures involve a loan estimate, which is going to estimate your fees.
Mm-hmm.
So let's
Mm-hmm.
take a step back.
Take your
Me
time.
being who I am as an underwriter, I'm going to give you not a loan estimate prior to all of this happening. When I give you your pre approval, you're going to get what I'm calling your fee worksheet. And that fee worksheet is very similar to your loan estimate. It's going to break down all the fees that we're estimating that you're going to pay at the closing, including your down payment and the closing costs for all of the service providers of that loan transaction. So, me being the broker, I am a service provider. You're going to have your closing attorney, who is a service provider, the appraiser that's going to appraise the value of the property, that's a
Mm-hmm.
service provider. So, everybody that's providing a service in the loan transaction, those fees then go on what is a loan estimate when we issue those disclosures. But even prior to that, at the time of the pre-approval, I'm going to give you a fee worksheet so that you get an idea
Right.
of you can anticipate, this is what I'm going to need for my closing. This is the bottom line number, and this is my estimated total monthly housing payment. So that, because even
It's
if
not a
I approve,
surprise that you started
right, it's not a,
out and you were thinking you were
yeah,
going to pay $1,500 a month for your
right,
mortgage, and you get to closing
yes.
and all of a sudden they say, no, your mortgage is going to be 25.
That happens all the time. It happens
What?
all the time, which is why I issue a fee worksheet. I've had so many clients where, they'll say, well, I was over at this other company. And then I say, did they give you a loan estimate or a fee worksheet? Well, no, but they told me I was going to have to come to closing with this. And I'm like, you need to actually, when they tell you this, they can tell you anything.
Right.
That's what they're going to do in order to get you in the door.
Right.
And then you'll go down that process, and next thing you know, you're going down a rabbit hole, because nothing that they told you in the beginning is
Mm-hmm.
what is
Mm-hmm.
actually happening when you're going through that process. So I eliminate all of that. Like,
Right.
I am literally transparent with you up front. This is what you are pre approved for. This is what your payment is going to be. This is what you can expect to bring to the closing table. So we close deals that way in 8 days, which is the time basically that we're allowed by federal law to actually close your deal,
Mm-hmm.
right? From the
Mm-hmm.
time,
So you have
your
quick,
loan
quick
estimate is
closes. Yeah.
issued, you have I do, because then if we go and issue the loan estimate, then we can't issue your closing disclosure or your initial closing disclosure, because that's like the final closing disclosure is what you'll get at close. That's what you'll sign, which is basically the loan estimate, but it's the finalized fees.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's submitted their invoices, all of that stuff. So we issue the loan estimate, we lock your loan if you want to lock the loan at the time. Let's just say perfect world, rates are great, loan estimate is issued, then the following day the CD, the closing disclosure, is issued. And after that, you have a 3-day cooling off period. We have to have a 3-day cooling
Yes.
off period
Yes.
by federal law before you are actually able to sign your final closing disclosures, or the clock starts ticking, because they're giving you time basically to cool off, to
To
say, am
have
I being
buyers, to
impulsive?
have
Do I
buyers
really want
remote.
to, do I
Right.
really want this rate? Term? Yeah, do buyers
Did
remorse,
somebody
like, they
force
give
me
you
into
the
this?
time.
Which
Right.
has happened,
Yes, all
which
of the
is why they
things.
they
Yep.
they started that law, because
Uh,
people were being bullied. Almost like,
right.
I'm so sorry for those of you that sell cars, but this was real. That whole car
Yeah.
salesman, furniture
Yeah.
salesman, house salesman,
Yeah.
or salesperson tactic, had
Hmm.
people saying yes when they weren't sure that they wanted to say
Right.
yes. So they put this law in
Yeah.
place to protect
Right.
you from,
Yeah.
maybe you had wind that, hang on, because most of us don't read. Unfortunately, that's the truth. Most of us don't read, and we
Yeah.
didn't read that the federal bank was saying, "Hey, you know what? Interest rates. We talking about it today. Tomorrow we might come
Yeah.
out with some." So it gives you that little bit of grace to make
Yeah.
some decisions.
But I'll even go a step further. Even if we are reading, you may not know what it is
Right.
that you're
Right.
reading. So,
Well, that's true.
that's another reason why a mortgage broker is, especially in our community, because we've been taken advantage of on
Hmm.
so many different
So many.
levels in this mortgage industry space, in the real estate space.
Yes.
It's important that you have someone that is going to advocate for you and take the time out to literally go through, and educate you
Hmm.
as you're going through this home
Hmm.
buying
Hmm.
process. And so that's what I pride myself on. That's what my company is, all about, is educating you, because we don't think that just because you buy your first home, that has to be your only home, right? But you're going to
Or your
be a
only
little bit
business.
hesitant to
Yeah.
buy maybe another, yeah, you may be hesitant to buy another property if the process is hectic and you don't know, you still didn't know, you didn't learn anything through the process, and now
Right.
you feel just as green in this next phase as you did the first time.
Right.
We don't want that. We want to teach you that DTI is your debt to income ratio, and what that means, what that looks like. Why do the lender, actually look at your debt to income ratio, meaning how much you're paying monthly towards your debts on your credit report and the housing payment versus what your gross monthly income is. We
Oof.
want to teach people that gross monthly income, you really need to think about gross monthly income. They are approving you on gross, but you don't bring gross home. You
Right.
bring home net.
Which I think is
You
so
know,
horrible. It's
it
horrible.
is.
Honestly,
It's
that's
bad.
horrible.
It can put people in a bad situation. So I always try to, I'm going to approve you or pre-approve you at the max, but that doesn't mean you have to go to the max. But
Mhm.
everybody kind of feels like, oh, well, I want to go to the max, but then
Right.
I
Oh,
always
honey, they
remind,
approved me for 400,000.
yeah.
I'm getting 395 4.
Right, right.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
here's the thing, and this is important. FHA has actually
What is
curbed
FHA? What is FHA?
Federal Housing Authority,
Mhm.
which is a government loan. Basically, it's the government lending for you to buy a house. That's their program. It's
Mhm.
called FHA. It's an FHA program. The minimum down payment requirement is 3.5%. It's for affordable housing, right? So
Mhm.
there's limits per county and all of that. And then every year they come out with the limits, for the counties within your state. But the Federal Housing Authority has now kind of curbed some things where they're saying some of these lenders, because I got some the mortgage news the other day from one of the lenders that I deal with, and they are requiring, whereas it was a 580 credit score is the manual underwrite, right? Now they're saying if you have a 640 or below, they're going to treat you as though you are a manual underwrite. So manual underwrite is, instead of putting you through the automated system, they're going to simply go off of the manual guidelines that Federal Housing Authority has come up with. And that's a little bit more restrictive and it lessens their risk. So, for instance, if I were to get you through the automated underwriting system, whatever that certificate says and that approval says, that's what we go with. So if it says we only need, 1 year of W-2s to prove your income, we need a 620 credit score, we need to verify 1 month of assets. If your score is below 640, they don't care what the certificate says. They're going to still require you to
The
have
strict.
at least, yeah, it's gonna be, they're gonna require your housing payment history. Whereas on automated, if it gives you an approval, you don't need that, right? If you if you went through the automated and you were at least a 620, it's not going to necessarily require any reserves. But if you're below 640, now they're saying you need at least 1 month because that's what the manual guidelines say. So now it's become a little bit more restrictive. But those are all things that I dig into prior to sending your loan package to the lender.
Right.
Because what we do not want is to get in this process and then all of a sudden the deal
It just
blows up
falls apart.
because I didn't do my due diligence, right? I didn't do my
Right.
homework and know what the program requirements were to make sure that your specific situation meets that. And so I don't know that, all loan officers at these retail banks, they're not going to take the time out for
They
that. They're
don't.
just trying to
It's
get the
it's a
numbers.
yes or no because
Yeah,
their job
it's
depends on how many,
right.
Loans they get
They have
processed.
quotas
That's
that
it.
they gotta meet,
Yeah,
and
that's
so
it.
they're looking at the numbers, and so their job is to get the loan applications in the door. They're not gonna sit up and underwrite because they're not underwriters; they're salesmen,
That's
right?
it.
And so you have to kind of know the difference and know what your situation needs. And to me, I just feel like in our community, because again, we've been taken advantage of so many times in these retail banking situations, that I feel it's going to be most beneficial to you to go through a mortgage broker. Those are going to be the major differences, is just having someone that is personalized. We're going to personalize your experience. We're going to customize your experience to the specific program that fits your situation.
When I tell you I love it, we need to have a whole workshop. When I was in California, and I'm still bi-coastal, so I'm back and forth. But when I was in California 2 years ago, I had a workshop on life insurance and home buying. Listen here. Both of those were just like poof. The
Yeah,
information, like the information you're giving right now, people don't know that. People are not telling them this type of information. So when you walk up to the table and you're like, "Oh, they told me I didn't need to have no money put down on a house. I
right.
needed $0.
That's a
I
problem
needed
for me.
no money."
I just had a I did a webinar, and there it was full of loan officers. It was the National Association of Mortgage Brokers. And there was someone that was speaking, and we were talking about credit reports, right? And the credit report fees keep going up
Oh my
every year.
God, they're ridiculous.
Mortgage brokers cannot really afford to. Some of them can and some of them do. I am not one of them, right? They can afford to not have you pay for your credit report. You get all of these complaints because I'm complaining because the fees for these credit reports keep going up. So
Yeah.
like right now, last year the credit report went up to I think the fee was 75. Now it's $97.
Shut
Yeah,
up.
that's
Girl, I was
it's out
still
of control.
stuck on
There's no
35.
regulations on them right.
What?
It was 35 some years ago. It went to like 60 something, then it went to 75. Now it's at 90. My credit report fee is
Stop
97.
it. Girl,
Yeah.
does that tell you how long ago when I was in property management running people's credit, it was
That's a good
$35.
But that's
This
a
why you
good
got to
point.
keep up.
Yeah, for sure. You have to,
Oh
like, in
my.
the industry, we have to, keep up with that mortgage industry news so that we can, convey the message
Mhm.
to the
Mhm.
people, to the
Mhm.
masses, right?
Wow.
So the fact that you brought up about property management and people coming in, they have to do the application and
Mhm.
do, along with that comes the credit,
Yeah.
and you guys are using third party
Yep.
vendors, so these fees cover their fees, right?
Mhm.
In passing the fee along to the borrower, because that's what I
Mhm.
do to the applicant,
Mhm.
I I
Mhm.
get pushback sometimes from it. And so my thing has been this, and we were talking about the spiel on it. So the one young lady that was talking, that was a mortgage loan officer, she's like, I don't worry with that, because here's the thing. If you don't have the money to pay for your credit report fee up front, then we got a whole nother conversation that we need to have involving what have you been doing to save money to prepare yourself for buying a home.
I'm gonna
You
just turn
cannot
my
come
face to
to
the
the table
wall.
with no money.
I'm turning my face to the
That's
wall.
You gotta have some skin in the game. You have to.
Mhm.
And you're going to have some upfront fees when purchasing a home. That's just the bottom line. You're gonna have your credit report fee. You're gonna have your home inspection fee, which you need to get.
And
You're
is
gonna
that a
have your
roundabout here? Because we're in Georgia,
Yeah.
and you're licensed in
So it's
Georgia and
typically, I will
Florida,
tell
right?
people, yes, I'm
Okay.
licensed
Okay.
in Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee.
Okay. Okay.
So the home inspection fee, which is an inspection that is going to tell you what's going on with that house. It's
Yes.
not the value, because that's an appraisal. Home inspection is different.
Mhm.
Home inspection is for you. Appraisal is for the lender. The appraisal tells the lender that their collateral is worth this much and sufficient enough to secure the loan that they're going to make to you. The
I'm
home
gonna go
is
get me a cord on my myself because I don't want us to drop. Keep going.
okay. Okay. The home inspection is basically going to tell you what's going on with the property, right? It's going to tell you if the HVAC, which is your heating and cooling unit, is that okay. It's going to tell you basically if your appliances are working, if your electrical system is okay, if there's any leaks that they see, like in the ceiling, any brown spots, and they detect, water leaks. It's going to tell you all of the things basically that are going on with the house. So I would say, for this is my statement, because this is, well, it's not my original statement, but this is what they used to say all the time on the home inspection disclosure. For your protection, get a home inspection.
Always.
That's it. Yes. So you need to be prepared for these upfront costs. So typically, I would say your home inspection fee is going to run anywhere from maybe $250, $300 up to, it could be as much as maybe $750,
Yes.
$800,
Yes.
depending on the size of your home, because they're usually,
Mm-hmm.
basing that on the square footage of that property and
Right.
how much time they're going to have to spend on your property. So it's important to know that, to get that. Then you're going to have your credit report fee, so that's almost $100. Then you're going to have your appraisal fee, which can be anywhere from $500 to maybe $1,000. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say
Mm-hmm.
to you, be prepared to come out of pocket up front, probably up to like $2,000. Just be prepared for that. Anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. Be prepared to come out of pocket up front for, your purchase.
Right. And let
So
me
that's
say
the
this
first thing.
before you go
Mhm.
ahead. Let me just say to add to the inspection, and I think we need to be
Mhm.
okay. So for those of you that remember the sellers market that was off the chain just a couple of years ago
Mhm.
during COVID, and people were selling their homes like in seconds, literally. Like the minute some of them were not even listed; they were pocket listing. The house was selling,
Mhm.
was supposed to be put on the market in the morning. In the evening, they made two calls. The house was already gone when they, boom, it's already sold
Yeah.
before it was on the market.
Right.
People were trying to get houses so quickly that they were doing the no. They were doing, I waive my right to an inspection.
Home inspection. Mm-hmm. Yep.
If any one of you want to go ahead and Google how many people now are trying to sue people because
Yeah.
they bought a house with no inspection
Yep.
and they didn't know that a rug covered over the floor of this
Yeah.
house that they did not inspect,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a hole in the floor, or it was termites, or whatever was
Right.
going on with that house because they were
Yeah.
so hungry
And
to
we got a
buy a
bad
house.
problem with term.
Oh my God. Listen, get the inspection. Don't cheat
Mm-hmm.
yourself out of knowing what somebody else's problem was. Mind you, listen, a new house does not mean no problem.
Right. No,
I
it
need y'all
doesn't.
to understand now. New homes are supposed to automatically be inspected. I
Mm-hmm.
tell my people, yeah, they had their inspection, but I'm gonna need you to go ahead and have your own. This is what I
Inspection. Right.
tell my clients. Just
Right.
to be safe, let them do theirs because I don't know who you know. I don't know who the
Right.
bank know. And some banks are like, no, this I need my inspector to do this.
Yeah.
Right now they have
Yes.
preferred lists because so many builders had their own folks and hey, just say this, cut corners over here. So a lot of things have been done for your protection on some end, but for
Right.
me, I'm gonna pay for my own I don't care who you had inspect this. I need my own
Yes.
inspection. So I
Right.
just
Yep.
wanted to kind of pull that in a little bit deeper because I think a lot of
Yes.
people miss that step. Now you
Right.
mad because the plumbing was leaking down in the basement,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
and to speak more to that, you all have the seller's disclosure that may or may not be attached to the purchase
That's it.
contract, right? The seller may disclose that they know about these issues or they don't know anything about this issue
Mhm.
or they're not for
Mhm.
sure. Things like, well, how old is the roof? They may not know that. So they're going
Right.
to say, I don't know.
Mhm.
And when they say, I don't know, and you guys sign that, it's like, okay, are you getting your own home inspection so that maybe you can have a set of eyes by a licensed inspector to eyeball that
Right.
roof and say, the roof looks like it's about X to this, many
Right.
years old.
Yeah.
And they can also say to you, it looks worn, the shingles look
Yeah.
worn. You may
May
want to
have
get
another
a roof
year, maybe
inspection.
not. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Exactly. These
Yeah.
are the types of things that the home inspection can give you, kind of some heads up about. But going back, we're talking about busting myths.
Mhm.
I do not like to tell anybody that you do not need any money when it comes to the home purchase. I think that is a myth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
People are going to sell this whole $0 closing, but you're paying for something now. It could be that maybe your agent has negotiated a great deal for you and the seller has agreed to pay something on your
Pay some
behalf,
closing
some
costs.
closing
Right,
costs
right.
on your behalf.
Mhm.
There are some 0% down payment programs. There are some down payment assistance programs that will take care of your down payment, but you still got closing costs.
Mhm.
You still have closing costs, include those upfront costs that I said,
Mhm.
which are your credit report fee, your home inspection, your
Right. Right.
appraisal. Those are typically your three, and even a pest inspection. In
Mhm.
Georgia, I feel like you still should get
Yeah.
those,
Yeah.
because of the termite problem that we have here. But those are the upfront fees that you're going to have. So who's paying for that? So you're really not coming to the table with zero money. You need to have saved something. And not just that, not just your closing costs, but soon as you sign on a dotted line, that house is yours. You are no longer a tenant, you are a homeowner. So anything
That's
that
it.
breaks down, even if it's on day one,
Mhm.
you can't call your landlord. You are the landlord. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So
Mhm.
I feel like saying to people that you don't need any money, that just sets them up for problems.
Right. And
It really
and what
does.
about taxes? Okay, wait, let me give you a scenario. I'm a veteran, okay?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to take
Mhm.
advantage of my veterans loan. I don't have to pay any money down, okay?
Mhm.
I don't as a
Mhm.
veteran. I don't have to pay any money down.
Right. Correct.
What then happens? Now, what she just said to us, so let's listen. When we're talking about closing costs, what Ebony is doing, a wonderful job at is telling us what closing costs means, and it also means the upfront fees,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Let's just say buying costs. Let's not even, because closing we think at the end. Let's say buying costs. We should rename it, honestly. Let's say buying costs means I'm paying for my
Mm-hmm.
credit report, I'm paying for my appraisal, my inspection. I'm paying for all of those things. That's money. So we know she gave us an estimation. Please don't call her and say you told me I had to.
No, this is estimated fees.
Estimating
Those things
fees.
are
So let's
estimated,
say we
correct?
need $2,000 for those estimated fees. Now, mind you, this
Mm-hmm.
is under the assumption that all of the things that needs to go in place to get to your inspection means you've passed your credits test, and you've gotten
Mm-hmm.
those pre-qualifications approvals and all of the things together. We're ready to buy the house, so you need your inspection, da 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 da. So with all of that, you need an estimated amount. We're doing at $2,000, which is really good, honestly, because really depending on where you are, that will determine how much those fees are going to be, right? So at that point, I'm a veteran, zero down. But I got
Mm-hmm.
my 2000. I did the due diligence, found the house, so forth and so on. What am I going to look like when I come to the closing table?
So the veterans are a little bit different because there is a maximum amount of closing costs as a percentage that the lenders or that is allowed to be charged to the veterans,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So for instance, the guidelines say 4% is the maximum total closing costs that veterans are allowed to pay for those third party fees and
Mhm.
payment of the service providers that we talked about earlier, right? So that
Mhm.
means if you are looking at $100,000 home, for instance, the sales price is $100,000. We are not allowed to charge more than 4% in total closing costs.
Mhm.
So that's $4,000,
Right.
4% of the sale price. Just like your down payment is based on it's a percentage of the sales price.
Mhm.
And so with veterans, of course, it's 100%, or it can be 100% financing depending on your eligibility status
Right.
with the veteran. With the veteran administration, you have to go through the veteran administration to find out
What you're eligible
what is
for.
your
Mhm.
eligibility, which is your through your certificate of eligibility. Retired veterans, I believe the form is like a DD 214,
Mhm.
which goes through your date,
Of service.
service
Yep.
basically,
Yep.
and then your your dates of separation, and then they determine from there, based on your service, how much you're eligible for, what your
Mhm.
entitlement
Mhm.
is, and they are basically saying the veteran administration is basically saying to a lender, this is our veteran and we are backing this loan by this much money.
Right.
So if they defaulted on the loan, then we would be basically covering we would have some loss mitigation costs that we would be supplying for this loan basically.
Right. Right.
So, but the closing cost is 4%, total closing costs. Now, the closing costs are, there's a breakdown of closing costs again on that loan estimate, which gives you your estimated closing costs, and then on your closing disclosure itself, which kind of mirrors the loan estimate. And included in that, there are certain costs that are going to be considered actual closing costs. So, like, for instance, your escrows are not going to be necessarily included in closing costs.
What is
And
an
those
escrow?
escrows meaning your taxes, the monies that are going to be collected up front for your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance.
Insurance.
Those are things that the escrow account is what the lender basically services so that they can put money in the buckets of property taxes, homeowners insurance, and they're going to pay those funds out to the authority, whoever your county tax or city tax authority is at the time it's due and payable, and then the homeowner's insurance whenever that premium is due for that year.
Mhm.
So they collect escrows so that each month you're paying into those escrow buckets, and then they can pay the total bill when it becomes due for the month. So, but there are fees, there's a breakdown of fees that are going to be considered actual closing costs that are included in that 4% max that you're going to pay. For instance, a broker, we're going to charge a fee for handling the transaction for you. Our fee is a part of your closing costs. So to say that we can charge you 5%, which is the maximum that we can charge, 2.75%, a lot of times you can't get away with that on a vet because it's going to be,
To
it's
over
going
the
to end
amount.
up
Yeah.
making the total closing costs more than the 4% allowable
Right.
when you include the rest of everybody else's fees. So a lot
Exactly.
of times the veterans, you're going to be, the fee is going to be, I would say the broker origination fee would be a little bit less than normal just because, veterans, and I don't even like
It's
charging like that for
it's a
veterans, to be
it's a
honest.
different, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
because
Because they've
it,
served.
it's a different that's a different situation. They serve the country. There's benefits a lot of times that the veterans don't even take advantage of, and then the benefits that they're owed is hard for them to get them sometimes from the
Mm-hmm.
veteran administration. it's
Yeah.
just it's just too much, so
Yeah.
I don't want to make it any more difficult than you're already having to get
Mm-hmm.
your benefits for
Yeah.
serving the country, right?
That's why I
So
said veterans specifically, because it is, I
yeah,
remember when I got my certification to sell to veterans and work with veterans, I was like, wait a minute, what you mean they don't know? But let me tell you something
right.
about our beautiful government when it comes to our military. If you don't ask, baby, if you do not ask, they are not going to tell.
They will not tell you. Yeah.
They're
So
not
I've
giving
had
you,
even
hey,
some of
retired
my
veteran, here is all of
customers
your
that,
information. They're not going to do it.
yeah, I've had my
Mm-hmm.
customers where they don't know what they're eligible for, but they say, I can do the VA loan, but then you don't get the paperwork straight up front. And now I've had
Right.
to switch you from the veteran 100% financing to
To a
maybe one of the
company.
first home
Yeah.
buyer financing
Yeah.
programs where now you got to come with 3% minimum down payment
Yeah.
or 3.5% for the government financing. So those are just some things for vets specifically. I would say start checking into your eligibility,
Yes.
and what you're eligible for, because it may not be 100%. You may be
Yeah.
entitled to, something lesser than 100%.
Right,
So I
because
would
it
say
depends on
go ahead and get
how
your
much
paperwork
time you
ready.
served, and if you have not met the
Correct.
quota of
What your
service time,
status is. Yeah,
all of
because
those
there's even
things.
stuff
So,
down to like the
ask.
National
Yeah.
Guard or National Reserve. Yeah, like the National
Mhm.
Guard
Mhm.
or the National Reserve and all of that. That's a different type of service, and you're not necessarily entitled to benefits when you are in certain, what do you call it? The certain
Certain not I was
service.
going to dag, Evan, if you hadn't asked me, not chains,
Yeah,
branches.
branches, yes,
Mhm.
yes. So
Mhm.
different branches have different eligibilities and some don't have any. So you just have to make sure that you check with the VA to see what you're eligible for. I would suggest that you do that, before you really start shopping and thinking that you're going to just automatically get 100% financing, because that's
I
not
love it.
necessarily so.
I love it. Oh my God,
Hmm.
Ebony, do y'all know we have already been talking for an hour? Hello,
An
somebody.
hour.
I'm just saying. And it has not even
Indeed.
been boring. It has been such good information. We're gonna have to have a workshop. Seriously, we're gonna have to have a
Yes.
workshop, because what I
Yeah, for
find
sure.
is
I'm game for that.
we have these type of podcasts that are really good information, but it's so much information. And so, like, if we had a
It
live
is a lot.
audience, it would be questions coming out the yin yang, and it's almost
Yeah.
like going to church on Sunday. On church on Sunday,
Yeah.
you get the information, boom, and that's all you got.
Yeah.
On Wednesday at
Yeah.
Bible study, you get to ask the questions. So
Right.
this is the Sunday podcast where you get the
Mhm.
information.
Mhm.
We need to have the
Uh-huh.
Wednesday workshop so that people can ask the question, take
The
notes,
questions. Yeah.
and
I'm game.
really, I have a
Mhm.
couple of books on home buying, and home selling. And that way it kind of,
Mhm.
it's very small books, but it breaks it down on what you need to know to buy a home. But what we're doing with this show is not just, hey, I want to buy a home and let
Right.
me talk to a realtor. We're talking to the person who will actually help you get the funding and get the loan and get the approval to
Yeah.
actually buy the house. Two different things. And this is why I started
Yeah.
out. saying, I am a realtor. I help you buy and
Mm-hmm.
find the house. I'm not the person that takes your
Mm-hmm.
credit. Mind you, I know of some of the things that are done behind the scenes, but I'm not the person that's going to do that. So when you're like, Jazzie, you know what? I don't want to give you my credit. Listen, what I'm going to do is say,
Right.
fill out this information, sign your
Yeah.
buyer's agreement, and then I'm going to turn that over to the person who's going to do that, called Ebony,
Right.
the new
Right.
Olivia Pope of Mortgage, Mayweather.
Yeah, for sure.
That's who I'm going
So
to turn
I
it over to.
so I think that maybe we could do the workshop. We could definitely do that. Not a maybe, but we could definitely do that. But I think too, we should open this thing up for those questions that serve as or have served in this industry as myths that I could possibly dismiss or help you to
We can do a
uh
part two. Now we can always come
yeah.
back with a
So
part two
I
because people
feel
needed
like
to know
there's
who you are and what your company
yeah.
does. Now we're
Yes.
building. This is a relation building podcast for those of you that are listening.
Hmm.
Now you feel comfortable. You feel like you can trust this company. You can trust the CEO of this company and her team. Now people may
Hmm.
have that more relaxed. Their guard is down to say, hey, my credit is 580. What do I need to do? Now, if y'all need some debt deletion, call us, sister, because I'm working in a real legitimate program. I didn't say repair, I said
Yeah.
deletion. And so you have to know the laws of what you can and cannot do with your debt. So we're not talking about a ripoff.
Right.
But if I do have a 580 or I do have a 620, where do I go from there? That may be a question. If I have all of the things together, but I only have 5,000, can I do something with that? Or what
Right.
is the first
If I'm
time home buy? Those
yeah,
kind of
if
things.
I'm self-employed, can I buy a home? Because
That
a
part.
lot of people don't understand, like, you're self-employed, that doesn't mean that you can't buy a home because you
Right.
didn't necessarily file your taxes or you didn't file enough on your taxes to qualify for a home. I have other programs with alternative income documentation that we can get to help you qualify for a home. So
Now, see,
just
we should have
different things.
started it out with that, Ebony. We should have
Because
just.
there's a lot of it's so many small business owners. There's a lot of black businesses right now. There's a lot of minority owned businesses right now that
Hmm.
I feel
Hmm.
like could benefit from me assisting with some more mortgage myths that we can kind of dispel
Girl,
and
listen
help
here.
them
Go
to
on and
understand.
give us 10 more minutes of just, and then we will honestly have to have a part two because I know that people
Okay.
want to ask those questions. Now, mind you, even when we do part
Yeah.
two, Ebony still
Uh-huh.
will work for food and money. So we're not going to
Right.
ask all the questions. We're not going to take all this good information and then run somewhere else and use somebody else. We do
Right.
want you to use proven mortgage solutions. So,
Yes, for sure. Let me help
we
to
ain't gonna we ain't
educate
gonna
you,
get.
but
I don't
yeah.
know, Ebony. Do we want to give it to them or do we want them to call for the next time? I heard a
Well,
pastor say, "Don't give
I
them too
think
much."
don't give away the milk for free. So I think that we can I will have I have a link where I do offer free consultations. I have a link where even with the credit we can talk about a free credit consultation.
Mhm.
I have been putting together home buying action plans for those whose credit may not be where it needs to be. I do offer
Mhm.
free consultation for credit, and I can refer you to credit specialists, or I can help to restore the credit, given the tools that I have from my credit vendor. So there's all types of things that we could do, but you got to reach out. I want you to reach out. I
I want
invite
y'all to reach
everybody to
out.
reach out. You can definitely get on my website. There's a plethora of information on that site.
Give them
It's
that
proven.
information, Ebony. So,
So my website is provenmortgagesolution.com. So it's with no S. The company name has an S, but the website does not. So it's just provenmortgagesolution.com. You can find us on Facebook. It's the PMS Solution. So THE. P as in Paul, M as in Mary, S as in Sam, the word solution. Facebook is the PMS Solution. My IG, I give everybody my personal and my business page because I mean I'm pretty transparent. But it's the PMS Solution on IG. That's the business page, and then I'm Ebony the Fixer on IG. Yeah, so I mean you can reach out to me on any platform. The platforms are also on the website. Go to provenmortgagesolution.com. You can fill out an app. You can schedule a consultation. You can check out our media and videos. There's a lot you can do there. And my office phone is 770-462-3498. The cell phone is 678-480-9884. You can reach out to me at any time, and I will respond to you. If it's past business hours of 5, then I'll
I
respond to
love
you
it.
the
I
next
love it. I
day
love
as
it.
soon as
Ebony,
possible.
thank you so
That's
much.
it.
I know our listeners at least have the general
I
idea
love
of what they
this.
need to do. And we busted up some of those myths that so many people tell you, and people are coming to the table
Yes.
sad and mad. And so, or not even getting to the table. So thank you for at
That,
least starting the conversation. We
yep.
definitely have to have a part two, and we're going to work on dates for a workshop because I think it is important for us. To whom much is given, we've been given much as far as our responsibility in our professions, and it is up to us
Right.
to make sure that the people who are coming to us have all of the information that they need to properly. Just because you can buy something does not mean that you can obtain it and maintain it. Okay. So if you don't know
Yeah.
how
That's
to
important too.
buy the home and maintain the home, because you still need to have some money for the next taxes coming. You still need to have some money for the breakdowns of something. You still need
Right.
to, put those things in place. But that doesn't mean that you don't need to buy a home. It just means that you
Yes.
need to be prepared. And that's what we want to do in the workshop, is to prepare you
Right.
of how to be the homeowner, how to pull equity out of the honey. It's a whole nother show. So buying, selling, investing in real estate,
Right. That's another
it's
show.
a conglomerate of information, and we could never do it all at one time in one setting. But we
Right.
thank you, girl. We thank you,
Right.
Ebony the Fixer, for coming on this
Yay.
So Jazzy Homegirl
I'm so happy that we
podcast.
did this.
Guys, thank you so much. I want to let you know
Yes.
that this show is sponsored by the Queen Bee's Lane. The Queen Bee's Lane. Honeybee Products and Events are establishing a retreat workshop area outside beekeeping, because I'm a whole black beekeeper, y'all. So, we had to establish something for the public. We do
That's
have
amazing.
our legacy brick campaign going on right now, where you can buy a brick. Now, y'all know, y'all go down to Centennial Park and y'all like, here's my brick, 1996. I came out here and my whole family took pictures with the brick. I was in the Olympics and didn't get a brick. I'm so mad about it because I didn't understand what legacy brick meant. I'm like, I'm not paying $100 for a brick. Now I'm like, girl, I would have paid $500 for a brick.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. What that brick actually
Yeah.
does is it creates a legacy for people to remember that you were a part of the foundation of the Queen Bee's Lane, which we specialize in honey, and why honey needs to be in everybody's coffee, tea, on their donuts, on their bread, because honey has so much benefits. Y'all, it would take a whole nother show for me to try to explain that. And since this is a pop-up commercial and a pop-up information, we're not going to do that right now. But what we also are doing is working with the Veterans Administration to have our veterans that have PTSD. That's the reason I mentioned veterans in our whole podcast, is because veterans have served our country and they have faced some things that, is pretty rough, and to protect us. And we want to give back. And so what we're doing is allowing them to come out to the Queen Bees. I'll give you the address later, but come out to the Queen Bees Lane to work with our beehives as a therapeutic way for them to heal and to live. And so when you buy your bricks, it helps us to take care of our veterans. It also helps us to take care of our African American, Latino, and Indigenous agricultural students who are now interning and coming to find out how to take care of our pollinators, because without the bees, trees, and the water, we don't exist. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen, to spend time with us, because you really honestly never have to do it, but you choose just to stop by for a few minutes or longer just to hear what we have to say. So we will see you next time. Thank you so much. This is Talk About It Tuesdays with Jazzie, LaneJones, and our guest, Eboni Merriwether. Bye, guys.